All right, everybody, get ready. Because today we're going deep into family ties and, some really unexpected ones. You
Yeah.
guys sent in this Reddit post.
Yeah.
It's got everybody talking. This guy finds out his girlfriend is also his fourth cousin,
Oh, wow.
like straight out of a soap opera.
It really is. And I think what's so interesting about it is it taps into the sort of universal anxiety that we all have about uncovering these family secrets, right? Like, who hasn't looked at a family photo album and been like, huh? I wonder what's going on over there, or,
Right.
what's the story with this person?
Exactly. And it's not like some old family legend.
Right.
This is a real live relationship dilemma.
Right.
Can you imagine showing up to Thanksgiving dinner and being like, oh yeah, this is my girlfriend,
Yeah.
also my fourth cousin.
Yeah.
So before we get lost on all the drama of that, let's break it down. What does it actually mean to be a fourth cousin?
Well, you and your fourth cousin share a great parent.
Okay.
So that puts you 5 generations apart.
So not exactly sharing a bump bed or anything,
No.
but still the word cousin carries a certain weight to it, right?
It does. It does. And I think that's where the complication comes in, because we think of cousin as, a sense of closeness.
Right.
But when you think about the sheer scale of family trees, you probably have hundreds of fourth cousins out there.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
There was actually a comment in this Reddit post
Yeah.
breaking it all down, like first cousins, second cousins, third cousins.
Yeah.
It's like this mathematical equation for family.
Yeah. And it just goes to show how, even though we think of ourselves as, individuals and like our own families, how interconnected we really all are, right? Like,
Right.
you may never meet these people, but you share a common ancestor somewhere down the line.
Right. And speaking of shared ancestry,
Yeah.
that's what really set the internet on fire about this whole thing, right? Like the genetic aspect of this.
Right.
Some people were freaking out about inbreeding.
Yes.
Others were like fourth cousins, practically strangers, DNA-wise.
Yeah. Right.
What is the real story here?
Well, I think we have to separate fact from fiction here. So fourth cousins share roughly 1% of their DNA.
Okay.
To put that into perspective, that's about the same amount of genetic material as any 2 random humans share.
Wait, really? So we're all basically distant cousins?
In a way, yes. I mean, we fixate on this word cousin because it's familiar to us, but, all humans share a vast majority of DNA. We're all part of this big web of life here.
That's kind of a mind-blowing thought.
It is.
And it makes this whole, like, dating your fourth cousin thing seem a lot less scandalous, right?
Well, from a purely genetic perspective, yes. I mean, the risk of birth defects when we talk about inbreeding is significantly higher for closer relatives like first cousins.
Right.
When you get to fourth cousins, that risk is generally considered pretty negligible.
Yeah, the comments were full of people reassuring the original poster about that.
Right.
Some even said third to fifth cousins is like the sweet spot for genetic diversity. Close enough for some shared immunity benefits, but not too close for those inbreeding risks.
That's a fascinating theory. I think it's worth noting, though, that that's more of a popular theory than hard scientific fact.
Okay.
But, we know for sure that genetic diversity is good for the health of any population.
So this guy's relationship might actually be beneficial from a genetic standpoint?
Potentially, but that's only one piece of a very complex puzzle here, right?
Right.
Because the real question is, how do we reconcile the scientific facts with the social and emotional realities of the situation? Because let's face it,
Yeah.
even if it's not technically a big deal, cousin still carries a lot of cultural baggage.
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, that baggage is definitely something we have to unpack here.
Yeah.
Because while genetics gives us one perspective, cultural norms and societal taboos
Right.
paint a very different picture.
Exactly. I mean, think about it. In some cultures, marrying your cousin,
Yeah.
totally normal,
Right.
even preferable.
Yeah.
But in a lot of Western societies, it's viewed with disgust.
Yeah, it's a really good point. The idea of what's considered acceptable in terms of family relationships
Right.
varies so drastically across cultures and across history.
Right.
I mean, for example, in some parts of the world, cousin marriage has been practiced for centuries,
Right.
often for social or economic reasons.
There were a bunch of comments in this Reddit post about that,
Yeah.
talking about like the Middle East and parts of Asia where cousin marriage is more common.
Right.
Someone even said that in some cultures, it's seen as a way to preserve wealth
Yes.
or strengthen community ties.
Exactly. And it really challenges our assumptions about, what's natural or right.
Right.
Because it reminds us that our own perspectives are shaped by the societies that we live in.
It is interesting, though,
Yeah.
because even in cultures where cousin marriage is accepted,
Yeah.
there are often rules about which cousins are okay to marry.
Right.
This is not just a free-for-all.
Exactly. And that's where the concept of kinship distance comes in. Different cultures have different systems for classifying relatives
Okay.
and determining what are acceptable degrees of marriage.
So it's not just about genetics. It's about how those relationships are understood and categorized within a society.
Precisely. And those categories are often intertwined with,
Mhm.
social hierarchies, religious beliefs, historical traditions.
Right. That makes me think about how, like, the taboo against cousin marriage in the West might be rooted in religious doctrine
Right.
or even concerns about power dynamics within families.
Absolutely. Those are definitely factors to consider. I mean, the history of cousin marriage taboos is very complex.
Yeah.
Involves everything from ancient laws to, Victorian era anxieties about social purity.
Right. This is where things start to get really fascinating because we're not just talking about biology or even cultural norms,
Right.
but how those things are shaped by power structures
Yeah.
and historical narratives.
Absolutely. The way we view family relationships, even genetics,
Right.
is constantly evolving. And as technology advances, those views are likely to be challenged even further.
Which brings us back to this original poster and his very modern dilemma.
Right.
He's facing this clash between scientific knowledge, cultural taboos, and his own personal feelings.
It's a microcosm of the bigger questions that we're grappling with as a society.
Right.
How do we navigate these evolving understandings of family and relationships?
Right.
How do we balance individual choice with societal expectations?
And how do we ensure that scientific information is being used responsibly and ethically?
Yeah.
Because let's be real, the potential for misuse is there.
Absolutely. The rise of DNA testing has opened a Pandora's box of ethical dilemmas.
Oh, yeah.
What happens when genetic information reveals family secrets or challenges our understanding of identity?
Right. These are questions we need to be asking ourselves right now.
Yeah.
Because as technology advances,
Right.
these scenarios are going to become more and more common.
Exactly. And as we navigate this new landscape, I think it's so crucial to have open and honest conversations about the implications of these discoveries. We need to be sensitive to individual concerns while also recognizing the broader societal impact.
This whole discussion has been a real eye-opener for me.
Yeah.
It's made me realize how much I took for granted about the concept of family.
It's easy to assume that family is a very simple, straightforward category,
Right.
but the reality is much more nuanced and complex.
And as we delve deeper into these complexities,
Right.
we need to be prepared for some uncomfortable truths and some challenging conversations.
Yes.
But ultimately, I think that's what a deep dive is all about.
Yeah, it's about pushing beyond our assumptions, exploring different perspectives, and embracing the messy,
Right.
evolving nature of human connection.
It's funny, we started this deep dive with this Reddit post about a guy freaking out about his girlfriend being his fourth cousin.
Right.
But we've gone so far beyond that now.
Yeah.
This whole conversation has really made me think about how our understanding of family is being reshaped.
Absolutely. I mean, we're living in a time where DNA testing and online genealogy
Right.
are revealing connections we never could have imagined.
Like family trees aren't those neat little diagrams we used to draw in school anymore.
Right.
They're these vast, intricate networks
Yeah.
that span continents and generations.
And they're full of surprises.
Oh, yeah.
There are countless stories of people finding out about long-lost relatives or uncovering family secrets.
Right.
Or even finding out that they're related to some historical figure.
Yeah. And those discoveries can be exciting and enriching,
Yeah.
but they also bring up some really complex
Yeah.
ethical questions.
Right. What happens when your DNA test reveals information that someone else in your family didn't want to be shared?
Right, exactly.
What are the implications for privacy and consent?
That's huge. And it's only going to get more common
Yeah.
as DNA testing becomes more commonplace.
Right.
Imagine like dating apps.
Oh my God.
Having a family tree compatibility feature
Right.
sounds like sci-fi,
Yeah.
but it's not that far off.
It's really not, and it makes you wonder about how technology is going to influence, our choices, our relationships, our
Yeah.
perceptions of family.
Are we headed towards a future where genetic compatibility trumps everything else?
I mean, it's a slippery slope,
Yeah.
right? Because while genetic information can be valuable for, understanding health risks or your ancestry,
Right.
we have to be careful not to use it to determine someone's worthiness as a partner
Exactly.
or to create some kind of hierarchy of desirable genes.
Right. We don't want to fall into that trap of genetic determinism.
Exactly.
Love, compatibility, shared values.
Yeah.
Those things should always come first
Absolutely.
before any sort of distant genetic connection.
Couldn't agree more. At the end of the day, family is about so much more than DNA.
Right.
It's about the bonds that we create,
Yeah.
the experiences that we share, the love and support that we provide for one another.
And this whole deep dive has really driven that home for me. You know, we can analyze the genetics, we can debate all the cultural norms, but really family is a human construct.
It is.
It's about the meaning that we give those connections,
right.
regardless of bloodlines or percentages.
And that meaning is always evolving,
Yeah.
right? As we uncover more about our past and we embrace these new technologies, our understanding of family is going to continue to shift and expand.
So where do we go from here?
Yeah.
What can our listeners take away from all of this?
I think the key takeaway here is to approach these questions with a sense of curiosity,
Okay.
compassion, and critical thinking. Be open to learning about different perspectives.
Yeah.
Be mindful of the ethical implications of these technologies.
Right.
But most importantly, remember that family is ultimately about human connection.
Yeah.
In all of its messy and wonderful form.
Beautifully said.
There.
Well, on that note, we want to thank you all for joining us for this deep dive into the world of family ties.
Yes.
And, if you enjoy this episode, be sure to share it with your friends, your family,
Yeah.
maybe even that long-lost cousin you just discovered on Ancestry.com. And hey, if you're looking for more thought-provoking conversations about the human experience, be sure to check out Shauna Palage's YouTube channel,
Yes.
Voices of the Soul. You'll find all sorts of insights and perspectives on everything from spirituality and relationships to the search for meaning in this crazy world.
It's a great channel.
So until next time, keep those brains buzzing, keep those hearts open, and remember that no matter how tangled your family tree might seem, you're never truly alone in this journey called life.